Okay, so on today's episode of Why Am I Single, episode 2, yes, that's actually what I've decided to name this series because let's keep it simple for the sake of marketing, right? I'm going to give you guys a throwback story because I just need you guys to understand from a very young age what it is women typically deal with. So yesterday's episode was episode 1, Mr. Jim Hottie, and that was presently the conundrums that I'm dealing with as a 39-year-old woman. We're going to rewind 20 years, and episode 2 is Mr. Baggy Magnum. I promise this isn't going to go where you think it is. So I'm 19 years old. I'm working at a Mexican restaurant. I'm a college student. I'm studying pre-law. I've got a fake ID and I'm working as a bartender. Now, even though I lied about my age to get work, I did not lie about my age to the men that I was dating. So in walks, we'll call him Tony. Tony sits down at the bar. He's tall, he's dark, he's handsome. He's about 26, 27 years old, and he orders a fuzzy navel. A fuzzy navel. That should have been my first indication. That was the first red flag, but whatever. I'm 19. And me at 19 was very oblivious, very naive when it came to men because I had dated one dude pretty much my entire life up until that point. So me and Tony are dating, and the courtship is honestly very sweet, very traditional. We're going to PG-13 movies. We're walking around the mall holding hands. He's getting my nails done. He's buying me cotton candy, and we're riding the Ferris wheel at carnivals, eating the shit together. No pressure, taking things slow, treating me with the utmost respect. It was actually like a really nice and innocent courtship, right? Now, I'm a 19-year-old college student living at home with their parents, and he's in his 20s. I honestly kind of assumed that he lived at home with his parents as well too, because he told me that he was in school as well. And at age 19, I really didn't know to press the issue or whatever, right? So we're meeting after work, after school. We're going on dates. It's great. It's fun. We're talking every day. Yay. So we're like 3-4 months into the courtship, and he's like, hey, I got us a really nice hotel and dinner reservation so that we can spend some time alone and have a nice romantic date. And I know what this means, right? And like everybody knows what this means. And honestly, I'm kind of like here for it, right? So the date ends and we go back to the hotel. So he busts out a Magnum, and I didn't know at the time that that was an indication of big things to come, or it should have been, and puts it on, and it just looks baggy, right? Now, again, I'm 19, 20 years old maybe at this point. I'm really naive. I just blurt things out. I'm like, it doesn't look like it fits right. I don't have confidence that it can do the job it's supposed to do. It looks like it's baggy. I think you should go and get one that fits. So dude looks super perplexed, and just the look on his face, like I couldn't describe it. And he eventually ends up going and he gets another one and he comes back with the Trojan. But needless to say, this really deteriorated the momentum, for lack of better terms. And well, he couldn't stand up to put his jacket on, if you catch my drift. And he ended up getting very frustrated. And as much as I'm like, I hear it happens to a lot of guys, he ends up taking me home, and I never hear from him again. Now, I couldn't wrap my young brain around why I never heard from him again, and I was actually pretty upset about it because for the past 3-4 months, this man has been a staple in my life. We would talk all day, every day. He would come up to my work in the evenings. He would pick me up. He would take me to school. We were always going on dates together. Like, he was a staple in my life, and then he just disappeared. Hindsight's 2020. I realized I shattered this man's ego, and that's why I never heard from him again. But that essentially ended our little endeavor. And here's the plot twist. Here's where it goes, where you weren't fucking expecting, right? Now, a couple years later, I end up getting a job at a call center, and I befriend 2 of the women there that I'm working with that are very close in age to me as well, too. One of the women, we're going to call her Sarah. The other woman, we're going to call her Diana, right? Diana ends up becoming my best friend, and still to this day very much is. Sarah and me weren't really close, but none of us were really close to her because she was in an extremely violent and volatile relationship with her husband at home. She would come to work with bruise marks on her, marks around her neck. One day her nose was broken in from him pistol whipping her. She would often come to work wearing the same clothes several days in a row because he would throw her and their children out of the house when they would fight. And if you know anything about dealing with women who suffered from domestic violence or have been exposed to prolonged abuse, It's really hard to maintain a friendship with them because their abuser often alienates them. You really can't advocate for them or be there because when they get back with him, when they relapse and run back to him, he goes really far to alienate her from anybody he thinks is a support structure. So you just have to let them go through the motions, hit rock bottom, and be there for them when they're ready to recuperate. So now we're several years into the job, into the friendship, into navigating these muddy dynamics, etc., whatever the case may be. And Sarah ends up inviting me and Diana to her daughter's 4th birthday party. And we're like, yeah, for sure, we're going to show up, right? We pull up to Sarah's daughter's 4th birthday party. I have my boyfriend at the time's little sister because it was at like a Chuck E. Cheese or some shit. And Diana has her daughter who at the time was, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 years old. We're there for maybe 30 minutes, interacting, playing with the kids, having fun. And she's like, let me introduce you guys to my husband. And in walks fucking Tony, Mr. Baggy fucking Magnum. 4 years. 4 years after the Baggy Magnum incident, I am face to face with Mr. Baggy Magnum at his daughter's 4th birthday party that I was invited to by his wife that he abuses regularly. I'm sorry, what? And I think the oddest part about it wasn't just that he had this 4-year-old daughter and an entire wife. He also had an 8-year-old daughter by her and another 2-year-old daughter by her. And, you know, just to make matters worse, over the course of all of us working together, Sarah had confided in us that not only is he physically abusive to her and cheats on her profusely, that he's actually a PIMP, like literally every definition of the word. That is what he does for a living. So he's not a college student. He doesn't live at home. He's not single. In fact, when I was dating him, he was married with 1, potentially 2 kids, either the second on the way or just having been born. Like, what? I didn't know what to do, but contrary to how young I was, I knew that you don't cause a scene at a child's birthday party. So I ended up telling her right there on the spot in front of my best friend Diana, hey, look, I wanted to come to the birthday party and give you a present, but I forgot that I have prior obligations and I actually have to leave like right now. And my friend Diana is looking at me like, what the fuck, bitch? But she doesn't say anything, and we expeditiously exit the fucking premises. So after we leave and me and Diana are alone where we can finally have a conversation about what happened, I explained to her why I left, and we ultimately decided that it would probably be best if I kept this to myself because we already know he's physically abusive. She knows he's cheating. There's been tons of women over the course of us working together, and she never has left. So what does this do? What does me giving her this information do except make my work life a living hell? Or if he's willing to pistol whip and beat her, what is he willing to do to me for telling her what he did to her while she was I'm good. I don't want any parts of it, right? Now, just to give you guys some closure on that part of the story, me and her absolutely did remain friends after that. And later on, I did come clean and tell her after she left him. And I told her that I didn't see any point of telling her while we were working together because he was already, you know, doing all those horrible things to her and she wasn't leaving. And I didn't want to get in the middle of their very volatile and violent drama at the place I made my money at. And she was very understanding. Our friendship still intact, cool, awesome, right? But here's the moral of the story. Here's the why am I single, right? It's taught me a very valuable lesson early on. It wasn't that it hurt my feelings or it rocked me to my core. It really just put me on game. That before you engage in any deep acts of intimacy with men, you have to put them through a very hardcore preliminary. Is there another bitch check? You have to meet friends and family. You have to go to their job. You have to see their residence. You have to scan their medicine cabinet and closets for remnants of another woman. Like, you really have to check. And even with doing all of that, sometimes you still get bamboozled. Like, people go to extremely far extents to live double lives, to play out little thrilling fantasies that they have in their head. So for men and women alike, when they say, you should have seen the red flags, don't ever regurgitate that shit because you don't know how far people are willing to go to maintain a lie or a double life for that matter. So needless to say, now I do a very hardcore preliminary, is there another bitch check? And 7 out of 10 times, there's another bitch. If it's not they're in a relationship, there's a woman who thinks she's in a relationship or some lingering relationship around. And I just don't have the capacity to deal with that. And that concludes today's episode of Why Am I Fucking Single? Hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for episode 3, which is dropping. I don't fucking know when I feel like it, bitches.